Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sustainepreneur Podcast, episode 14, where we go over the many reasons why sustainability just makes sense in business today. We're going to throw some numbers at you in this one, so stick around. Welcome back to another episode of Sustainepreneur Podcast, where we are bridging the gap between business and sustainability. We want to educate and motivate sustainepreneurs by discussing important topics, debating different perspectives, and by showcasing those of you out there who are doing it right now. I'm your host, Nate Hansen, and we're glad to have you with us. So let's get started. Back in 2015, a global marketing research firm named Nielsen did a study called the Sustainability Imperative. It was supposed to be a new insight on consumer expectations. And it found that in 2015 alone, sales of consumer goods from brands with demonstrated commitment to sustainability had seen growth of more than 4% globally, while those without grew less than 1%. And 66% of consumers say they are willing to pay more for sustainable brands. That's up from 55% in 2014 and 50% in 2013. Those are not numbers to scoff at. I don't even know what the last 2 years have been. And as millennials start to replace the baby boomers as the largest generation spending money, the market has no choice but to shift to make way for a new generation's expectations. And believe me, millennials are unlike any other generation before it. And it leaves most companies scratching their heads as to why they can't motivate their behaviors as much. Because in that same Nielsen study, they found that millennials continue to be the most willing to pay extra for sustainable offerings. See where I'm going here? Almost 3 out of 4 respondents in the last findings are up from approximately half in 2014. But let's not forget about the Gen Zs. They're equally willing to pay more, from 55% of total respondents in 2014 up to 72% in 2015. So, if we want to compete in the markets of the future, sustainability isn't just going to be another boutique business. It's going to be business. I want to talk, so let's just go ahead and throw all of the bleeding heart stereotypes out the window for now and call it what it really is in business terms. It's disruption. It's just as simple as that. It's the new differentiator in marketing and the greatest new feature to add to our products and services since the dawn of competitive pricing. Let's call it that again. It's a new feature that we can market. But it'll only be a feature until it's commonplace. Then it'll just be expected. Just like bargain discounts and customer support are expected now today. The only catch, and really the best part, is that it works best when it's genuine. Okay, but now we can't just put it all on millennials because baby boomers are getting on board as well. 51% of boomers ages 50 to 64 are willing to pay extra. That's an increase of 7% since 2014. And I talk about this phenomena in an earlier episode called the regeneration and how it makes up everyone across all generations who are into sustainability. So if you want to check that out, go check it out. But I think I've gotten the marketing aspect across. But that's not even really the bottom line. The next step before we even get into the bleeding heart stuff is good old run-of-the-mill efficiency. Because what is sustainability really? When you break it down, it's to efficiently meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. But the real definition of sustainability replaces the word efficiency with sustainability. But it essentially means the same thing. Sustainability is efficiency, just with more purpose. So the first target in all sustainability consulting is to manage waste and cut costs. Sustainability is concerned with the loss of heat and the burning of fossil fuels to power light bulbs in buildings and warehouses. Well, so are businesses, because all of that stuff costs money. There are so many ways that businesses waste water and materials and heat, time, and most of all, energy. Most of the time we can save people money right up front just by looking at the inefficiency in their bills. They can save thousands of dollars on simply replacing an old electricity meter that may just run a little fast. Putting in a fan and new round heating ducts can save hundreds of thousands of dollars. That all adds to the sustainability agenda, but these companies wouldn't know it by all the newfound cash in their pockets. So that gives businesses a baseline in sustainability, which means that the bottom line is the baseline for sustainability. Once they've saved as much money as possible by being a model of efficiency, they can go into the future knowing that they have the greatest profit margin possible. That's more wiggle room, more potential for growth, and it makes them far more marketable to the new millennial generation. On top of that, there's more good news. In 2012, a study published in the Journal of Organizational Behavior called Environmental Standards and Labor Productivity found that there was a 16% boost in employee productivity in firms that had voluntarily adopted sustainable practices. And that's only going to increase as millennials continue to become the dominant labor force. They feel happier about what they're doing when it's not being done in drudgery. Most people want to feel like they're a part of something bigger, something greater. And then beyond that, it's all about aligning a company's values with their clientele's and putting action to those values. And then finally, marketing it to them in a way that builds their organization in prominence through trust and support rather than just rock bottom prices and bulk buys. That creates commodities. Now we get into the bleeding heart stuff. After all that talk about return on investment, I might as well. So I'll end it with this. Truly, the bleeding heart part lies throughout the process. Because if they're not genuine, they're typically not going to stick with it because it is an investment. Or worse yet, greenwashing themselves into a bad reputation. Because that can happen. We make sure it doesn't happen, but greenwashing can get a company there today, but it'll be devastating to a brand's credibility in the future if it's uncovered. And the way the internet's going, it's more like when it's uncovered. But the ones that do it right are able to capture the sustainable market, save and make lots of money in the process, and they can do something that matters. They have an opportunity to help their communities, their fellow human beings, their kids, their grandkids, their grandkids' 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 grandkids. Whatever their cause is, it's finally beginning to pay to be an honest business person. That concludes our episode for today. As always, thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like, share, rate, and subscribe. And we'll see you all again next time on Sustainepreneur Podcast, where we are bridging the gap between business and sustainability.